Hi guys, it's Kylan from the Silhouette Cameo School for Newbies. Gosh, I have problems with that. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the replicate option within the Cameo. It's a really cool feature. It's going to save you time. But before we get started with that, there's a couple things that I want to remind you guys of. First and foremost, I'm using Business Edition software, which means I may have more icons than you guys do, options, and they may be placed in different spots. So just so you have that in your head. Second of all, this is simply how I do it. The cool feature in Silhouette is there's no right way and there's no wrong way. It's just simply how it works for you and how you do it. And that's cool. The other thing is I'm going to try and go slow so you guys can kind of grasp this going through it the first time. However, it is fine to watch, pause, rewind, and repeat. That's how we learn. And speaking of how we learn is mistakes. I know we get frustrated and we want to throw our machine out the window, but really don't. Mistakes are good. That's how we learn. I've been doing this for over 5 years and I make mistakes every single time I open the software and or try and cut vinyl, cardstock, HTV, you name it. I make mistakes every day. So just understand that that's going to happen and it's part of the learning curve. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for this example, I'm going to be making Christmas gift tags. But we're going to start with one gift tag in one color first. So we're going to go ahead and move over our red one, just kind of take that out of our way. And first thing that I want to do is I want to change the size. So with your edit box, which are the blue lines around the image, going to go up to my size, my quick reference or quick tools, and I'm going to do my resizing. Now it's really important that you make sure that your lock aspect is on. If it is not on, your image will be distorted in whatever measurements you put in. So we're going to go ahead and make this 3.5, and I'm going to go ahead, enter, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be almost 2 inches wide by 3.5 inches long. So the next thing, whoops, did not want that to happen. Next thing that you want to do is take your image and place it as close to the corner as possible. Now you do not want to touch this red line, or also known as your cut border. Anything that is touching it or over it will not cut. So to make sure that I'm not touching or over, I'm going to go ahead and super zoom. And it looks like I've got room. So I'm actually going to play with this just a tad bit more, because the whole purpose of the replicate window is to get as many images on your mat as possible for cutting purposes. So with your edit box still around your image, we're going to go over to our right-hand panel and we're going to go to the replicate, which I believe is about the 9th icon down. Yep, 9th icon down. Go ahead, click it. It will pop up a replicate window. Within this window, you have multiple things that you can do. And I just, you know what? I have never used this one before. Who knew? Well, we're going to stick with the easy one first. So with your edit box around your image, come down to your duplicate. And you can duplicate your image left or right, one item at a time, down or up, one item at a time, or you can duplicate rows and columns, or you can fill the page. Now, I'm going to show you something. Let's try filling the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So by filling the page, it gives me 15 images. Well, I think that we can get more than 15 images on this because there seems to be a lot of waste going on. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. We're going to go ahead and go back with our replicate. And the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to replicate to the right, obviously to your open space. And I know that I can at least get more than one image, so I'm just going to drop down and replicate to the right by a row. And it's going to give me 3 additional items. Now it takes, this image is my last image, and I want to try and duplicate one at a time because remember, I want to get as many as possible. And I can, oops, 2, 3, sorry about that. Emma, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can get 6 images across. But what I want to check is make sure that these images are not touching or just barely touching for cut purposes. I guess, I'm sorry, not overlapping each other. So I'm just going to go and check my cut settings, and we have a line in between each image, which means we have 6 separate images. So we're good to go. So from here, we're going to go ahead and highlight all of them, and we're going to duplicate columns, and we're going to go down. 6. So we have 3 columns of 6, so that's 18. So we just saved, we just added 3 more images than fill page. So I very rarely will ever use the full page. So from here, let's go ahead and check our cut settings. And everything, can I zoom in on this? I think I can. Everything is a complete shape. So that means we have 18 individual images, which is exactly what we want. But let's say, for instance, this one kind of gets whompered, if that's even a word. And you don't really notice it, or you bump your keys. When you go to check your cut settings, this is what's going to happen. You're going to see that your lines are overlapping. And actually, I could probably move that up. Let me move that up just a tad bit more so it makes more sense. Okay, so right here you can see that they're overlapping. So these 3 cuts would not be good because they're all touching. It's okay to have them slightly touching, just not overlapping, because I used the wrong word. No overlapping. So once you get that fixed, you're ready to go. Check your cut settings, send it to the printer, not to the printer, to the cutter, to the machine, and you're good to go. But what happens to this process if I want to have different colors? What I typically do is try and get these two, if I'm doing same image, different colors, and remember, the object here is to use as much of the paper or vinyl as possible. So you want to get them close and lined up. I'm going to go to my transform panel, and I'm going to get them vertically aligned so they're pretty much straight. And now I want to go to the left as close as possible without overlapping. To make sure, I think they are actually overlapping. Oh, nope, super zoom, they're not. Gotta love that super zoom. And if you don't have super zoom, you can always use your plus to get as big as that one little button. I think, now I'm not even gonna go there because I don't know for sure. Okay. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's go ahead, just like the first group, we're going to get them as close to the top and as close to the left as possible. Make sure your edit boxes are around them so you move them together. I'm going to go back and check my settings to make sure that I am not over that line. And I am good. See, barely up there. So all is good in the real world of Silhouette. So now it is the same thing that you're going to do that we did before as far as grabbing your image. Instead of grabbing one image and duplicating or replicating, we're going to make sure that we have both images. Whoops. Okay, so with edit boxes around both images, I'm going to go back to my replicate, and again, we can replicate rows and columns, single or multiples. So right now, let's try and go by the row and way too many. However, all I have to do is take the ones that are over and just delete them. Now, all you're going to do, highlight the entire first row, and now we're going to replicate our, actually we did rows, we did rows first. Now we're going to do columns. And, how? We didn't get as many this time as we did last time, did we? What did I do different? I did something different. 6. Well, I got 18 on there. No, I didn't do anything different. See, I threw myself for a loop. So, last step again, check your cut settings. Make sure nothing is overlapping and everything is set to cut as you want it, which it is. So then we would send it to the machine to cut. Now, I can also say that if for some reason these were smaller, I'm going to actually make them smaller to give you this example. And go down. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. All I'm doing is taking out the ones I don't want. These will have to check that cut setting, but again, taking out what I don't want. I'm going to look at these images and see if I can actually turn them and maybe fill them in here. I don't think I'm going to, but it's worth a shot. So at this point, you can separate them because it doesn't really matter. Go ahead and put an image box around one, or I'm sorry, an edit box around one image. And we are going to go to our transform panel. Within the transform panel, we have the option of our rotate. And I want to rotate, does not matter left or right, but we want to go a 90-degree to lay it on its side. Now, if the map were slightly larger, or my images were just slightly smaller, I could fit in a couple down here as well. So that's always an option. Or if you want to have a set that are smaller, you could bump them. You could bump them. That was good English, wasn't it? Not. And we're going to move that to the left. And then we're going to go back to our replicate. And you just added 3, 4, 5 additional tags. So again, fill page, don't use it in my opinion. I don't use it. I think I maybe used it once in my entire Silhouette career. I just think that you get more by using your replicate. Anyway, I hope this helps. If you have any questions or problems, like normal, feel free to tag myself in a post or Lisa, or post a question on the thread, and we'll get right back to you guys. I hope this helps. Have a great one, guys. Bye.